Hello, my name is Mattia Chang, and for our group presentation for doing business abroad, the country that we were assigned was Italy. The members of my group are Claire Carpenter and Kelsey Armentrott. When doing business abroad, it is important to understand social customs. One of the basics of understanding social custom is how do people greet each other. In Italy, there are common physical and verbal greetings. One of the common physical greetings are handshakes with direct eye contact and a smile. Usually when it's between a woman and a man, the woman usually extends her hand first. The second common greeting is el besito. El besito is when you give air kisses on both cheeks that usually starts with your left. But however, if you're in southern Italy, it's a little bit different. Southern Italy men only kiss family members, and they prefer to give a pat on the back to show affection instead. Now, the common verbal greetings are ciao, which means hello, and this is usually used in a more casual greeting. For a more formal greeting, Italians like to say buongiorno, which means good day, and buonasera, which means good afternoon. When meeting someone in Italy, it is important to address a person by their title and their last name until you're invited to move to a first name basis. For examples, older Italians prefer to be addressed as Signora, which is for Mr., and Signora, which is for Mrs. So we just went over what you should do when you greet each other in Italy. And now let me tell you what you should avoid when greeting. One of the things you should avoid when greeting someone in Italy is shaking hands over the top of other people's hands. This is considered impolite and rude. Now, like I mentioned just previously before, one of the things you should not do is to never address a person by their first name basis unless you are invited to. This is very important. Another important aspect of understanding social customs when doing business abroad is how you express appreciation for an invitation to lunch, dinner, or someone's home. Usually when you are invited to dinner, the dinner guests will bring a gift. The usual gifts are wine, chocolates, or flowers. It is common to wrap gifts in decorative and beautiful wrappings. And when the gift is received by the giver, it is usually opened automatically in front of the giver. Here are some of the things you should not do when gifting. You should avoid wrapping gifts in black or purple. This color usually symbolizes mourning, grief, and bad luck. Another thing that is considered bad luck is gifting knives or scissors. The last thing you should avoid when giving flowers is gifting chrysanthemums. Chrysanthemums symbolize death. Here are some facial expressions or hand gestures that are considered rude in Italy. 1. Not standing up when an older person enters the room. 2. Not covering the mouth when yawning or sneezing. 3. Not removing hats when you're indoors. 4. Removing one's shoes in front of others. 5. Leaving the table before everyone finishes eating, as well as resting one's elbow on the table. And last but not least, it is impolite and rude to eat while walking. These are some of the things that are considered rude in Italy.
What colors of clothing are appropriate and when? Italians are more likely going to be wearing something elegant. The classic colors are more their style, but occasionally they will wear bright and bold colors. In Italy, they tend to go with the colors black, dark blue, white, cream, and tan. Colors that are worn year-round are white, light tans, and also cream-colored clothing. Now, when it is hot outside, Italians are more likely going to wear lighter colors because it gets hot and lighter colors will not be near as attractive to the sun. If it's summer in Italy, some would choose to wear some pastels color in clothing, and an example of that would be like a lavender color. How many times a day do people eat? Italians will eat breakfast around 9 a.m. at the bar. Then Italians will have a coffee break at 10:30 a.m. and sometimes they will eat a snack. 1 p.m. starts lunch and it goes to around 2:30 p.m. When 4 p.m. rolls around and it's time for a snack, Italians refer to this 4 p.m. snack as a merenda. It's now 6:30 p.m. and around this time, Italians sit down for pre-dinner. Pre-dinner drink hour, and you can even enjoy a little snack at this time. Finally, Italians will eat dinner around 8:30 p.m. and usually that's a little bit late for us. Do you use utensils to eat? Italians do use utensils to eat, and they use them in a certain way. The knife always remains in the right hand, and your fork will have to stay in your left hand. If utensils are put on or in your plate, waiters will think you are finished eating, so lay your utensils next to your plate. When eating pasta, do not use a spoon to twirl your pasta on. Italians use their fork to twirl against the inside of your pasta dish.
Italy has had a very unsteady political situation. There have been several dozen governments since World War II. There was major corruption in the 1990s, and it was not until 2001 that the first constitutional referendum since 1946 allowed for major changes in tax, education, and environmental policies. However, in 2008, Italy faced a recession. In 2014, a new Democratic Party leader formed a new left-right coalition and has plans for change. However, the leader ultimately resigned in 2016. In 2018, the first populist coalition government takes office with plans of overhauling the European Union budgets. Politics tremendously affect business in and out of the country in Italy. There has been controversy over abandoning the euro. Also, trade and investments are at risk since the economy is so unstable. Italy is over 2 trillion euros in deficit, the highest in Europe. The economy struggles due to complicated government, labor market laws, high energy costs, high corporation taxes, and corruption. The traditional government institutions include the 3 branches of power: executive, legislative, and judicial. The executive power is designated to the Council of Ministers, led by the Prime Minister. They are in charge of executing the laws. Legislative power belongs to Parliament, and they make the laws. Judiciary power is held by judges who are not elected but chosen by exam results and serve for life. Presidents are also not elected by the people, but by secret ballot from Parliament and regional representatives. They hold a term for 7 years. Parliament holds the 2 houses, the Chamber of Deputies and Senate, and the public does vote for some of these members. It is not appropriate to discuss politics in business or social settings, especially in first-time meetings. Due to the tense political climate, it is best to focus on positive images of Italy. Italy is a predominantly Christian country with over 80% Catholic. Also practiced are Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, just to name a few. Some of the most sacred places in Italy include the Vatican, where the Pope resides, as well as some of the largest cathedrals in the world, including the Duomo of Milan, which took 6 centuries to build, as well as countless religious art pieces, statues, temples, and monuments. Some of the sacred holidays in Italy are Christmas, Easter, and Epiphany, which is January the 6th. It signifies the 12th day of Christmas and is celebrated much like Christmas. Befana, who is an old lady that flies on a broomstick, brings presents to the children of Italy. As previously stated, Catholicism is the most recognized religion in Italy. However, all other religions are tolerated and free to operate, although some rites are not recognized as legal. Many of those who practice a minority religion do feel discriminated against. Religious holidays do affect business operations. Most businesses are closed on Christmas and other Christian holidays so that employees can spend time with their loved ones. In the past, there has been a tradition to fast during Lent, which are the 40 days before Easter. However, in modern day, most people only participate by not eating meat on Fridays. It is also common to eat lamb during Easter and fish during Christmas. Italy is a homogeneous country with over 90% of the population being native Italian. However, after the 1980s, with the fall of the Berlin Wall, they did begin to attract more immigrants. The official language of Italy is Italian. However, English, French, Spanish, and German are common. Italy is the 8th largest economy in the world, and their main exports are engineering products, textiles, clothing, production machinery, motor vehicles, and food. Mountainous terrain makes it difficult for agriculture. The strength in Italy are small and medium-sized companies. They are only moderately advanced, so they do have a hard time competing with China and other large countries. Many of the medium to large firms in Italy are still family-owned, including Barilla Pasta, Ferrero Chocolate, and Fiat Cars. Telephone, fax, and email are appropriate ways of conducting business. However, many prefer a formal face-to-face meeting, especially for their first interaction. Body language is particularly important, including hand gestures and the use of eye contact. Typical working hours in Italy range from 39 to 40 hours per week, Monday through Friday, and most take a 2-hour lunch break. Italians are often not punctual, however, it is not shown as a sign of disrespect. Exchange of business cards is very common in business, and managers do not socialize with team members. They are a very social culture, but there is a respect to the hierarchy.
Is money or a gift expected in exchange for arranging business transactions? In Europe, or England, France, Italy, and Hungary, a gift or money for arranging business transactions is not going to be expected, and they are less frequent than in other countries. Now, if you were to bring a gift, it won't mean that a gift would not be appreciated. Europeans just don't expect one. Do people value competitiveness or cooperation? In Italy, they do value competitiveness. Italy likes to keep the competition very friendly though, and they definitely agree that it will be worth it in the end. Is politeness more important than factual honesty? In the European countries, Italy is one of the most dishonest countries in the European countries. Even Italians themselves consider their compatriots to be less than trustworthy, which is stated in the article from Mackey, 2001.